make you cringe. Don't go too badly, because you know it's a happy story in the end. But we're going to get started with an experience that got me going on this path. Because I was about 4 weeks back into my corporate gig 7 years ago, a little over 7 years ago, when after giving birth to my first and only child, when my now ex-husband left me for another woman, and I was stuck trying to figure out what to make heads or tails in my life. My financial life had changed dramatically. Half of the household income had gone. The place that I lived, I couldn't really afford to actually have a life there on my own income. And I was trying to figure out daycare expenses, and I was trying to figure out how to handle all of this. And I was a full-time single mother for that time, because I had a breastfeeding infant. You don't send a breastfeeding infant to dad's house overnight. You just don't. I waited for that marriage for 4 months, and this is a lot of drama, right? I didn't know if he was actually gonna leave or not, and I went through a lot of stress. And I lost about 50 pounds from the time I'd given birth to the time I knew what my future looked like from a marital standpoint. And that was my opportunity. I had no idea. I didn't come to me as that. And so as I look back on it now, what I thought at the time was the worst possible thing that could happen to me was the best possible opportunity to create profound and positive change. That's the piece I want you to be thinking about as you think about your lives and what's going on too, because it's a huge, it was devastating and life-changing and transformational, and I would do it again in a heartbeat, which is the craziest thing. So I lost 50 pounds, and I still had a corporate gig. I would get up in the morning and put my kid in my little baby wrap, and we would march downtown together, because I had a downtown job and she went to daycare downtown, and I needed clothes that I could actually wear to that office job, and having lost 50 pounds, I didn't have anything that fit. And I also didn't have money for a wardrobe. So I went to, I took all my clothes and I went to consignment, and I just dropped it off at a couple different places. Didn't think a whole lot about it, but I knew I needed to make money in order to spend money on the clothes that I was gonna get. And then, how many of you are familiar with the Goodwill outlet? Okay, do we have some thrifters in the room? Oh, yeah. Awesome, that's so cool. So I had shopped there 15, 20 years ago, and hadn't been there in a lot of years, and knew that that was going to be my answer. They sell, for those of you who aren't in the know, they sell by the pound, textiles and other things. And so I knew that if I needed little girls size 12 clothing, which is what I needed at that point, I could go, and for 50 cents I'd pick up t-shirts, and pants might be $1. And so that's what I did. And I didn't really think much of it, because I was trying to get through my corporate job and trying to get through this crazy loss and trying to figure out how to raise this little peanut who was, amazing and female, and as a woman who had just gone through this thing, I was also trying to figure out, how do I create and set an example for her? What do I do? I'm a single mom. I've already failed this as far as I was concerned, and that's something that I won't get into, but that was a tough one to swallow. So didn't think much of it, and a couple of months passed, and well, I started to heal, and I started to gain a little bit more weight, and the size 12 didn't fit anymore, so I had to go back and get the little girl size 14. And so I took the size 12 to consignment, and I didn't think about it. Life, again, just continued, and I continued to try to heal and start a divorce process and all these crazy things. And then one day I went to the consignment shop, and they itemize. When you've sold things, they itemize, and they tell you, what you've sold and how much they sold it for and how much you get for it. And I noticed that a shirt that I had picked up in the little girl size 12 days had just sold for $10. I had paid about 50 cents for that shirt, and they paid me $5. And in my brain, $4.50 is not very much, but a 900% return on investment was worth pursuing. And that was my eureka moment, and that was the time when all of a sudden the light bulbs went on. I knew that I couldn't pay $2 for something and sell it for $4, but if I could figure this, crack this nut on 50 cents to margin like that was something that might have the potential to allow me to be a stay-at-home mom someday.